Hi there, my name's Rosa Dawn, and today I'm going to be talking about one of the most offensive books you can possibly find, one that causes endless harm on a daily basis. So is it Mein Kampf or is it the Communist Manifesto? It's neither of those, actually. It's the dictionary.
Give it up, gonna be alright.
In 2009, comedian Stuart Lee made a joke on his BBC show Comedy Vehicle where he said this.
Tim, what did you say? And he said, oh, these days, if you say you're English, you get arrested and thrown in jail. I said, when did this come in? And he said, no, if you say you're English these days, mate, you get arrested and thrown in jail.
The idea such a statement could ever land someone in trouble has always been a running joke, whether it's scare stories in the tabloids or just a man down the pub having a rant against PC culture. It's always felt so far removed from reality that one can't help but laugh. But in current year, does this joke still stand up? Those on the front lines of the free speech war have often been focused on the right to make offensive jokes or to recite particular lyrics. But whilst all this has been going on, the battle lines have moved substantially forward, and barely anyone has noticed. Back in August, groups of feminists started placing stickers around various parts of the UK. The stickers, which were shaped like penises, caused outrage amongst the easily offended, and in turn this led to councils nationwide and even the police issuing statements condemning them as hate crimes. So what was it that was so offensive about the stickers? Was it the vandalism? Or that they look like dicks? It was much, much worse than that, because these stickers had written on them, "Women don't have penises." Not too long ago, this statement would have been taken as fact with no questions asked, but this is now considered to be an emotionally harmful and hate-filled thing to say, just in case trans people or those claiming to speak on their behalf deem it offensive. Whoever it was that put up the stickers, referred to as Sticker Woman online, was never caught. She never faced the full ramifications of crossing this new line, which many of us have actually been unaware of. Unfortunately, a student in Durham University was not so lucky. Angela Sophocleous, who was the assistant editor at Durham University's philosophy journal, as well as the editor of a student magazine, was sacked from both positions just for posting the phrase "retweet if women don't have penises" on social media. He said this while sharing an article from The Spectator, which criticised trans activists for their hostile nature. Ironically, by clamouring for him to be fired, the activist kind of proved the article's point. Sophocleous was removed from his position by vote after members of Durham's Philosophy Society declared his messages belittled trans experiences. And in a follow-up post on Twitter, the group's president declared their publication wouldn't tolerate trans-exclusionary radical feminist ideals. Like Sticker Woman, Sophocleous wasn't issuing any threats. He wasn't stirring up hostility. He simply stated a biological fact, that women don't have penises. And in the last week, it's become even more apparent that facts are becoming problematic when posters simply quoting the dictionary's definition of woman, adult human female, were taken down in Liverpool after a self-appointed trans ally raised a complaint about how simply quoting the dictionary was now hate speech. In the past, we've had good understanding of what it would mean to use hate speech. For example, the slurring of an entire race or inciting violence against people. But the examples I've provided above, which don't contain threats, slurs, or anything traditionally considered offensive, only state words found in the dictionary. Voicing an opinion based on the definitions of English words can now apparently land people in trouble. And as we've seen many times this year already, it's only a matter of time before the police get involved. It's important to remember that it's not just trans activists who consider the dictionary to be offensive. Quoting the definitions of phrases like sexism and racism can now be seen as hateful, and some even label this as a tactic of the alt-right. Supporters of this new wave of censorship may try to argue the words themselves aren't the biggest problem, but it's the intent behind making that particular fact known might be to upset people. The likes of Adrian Harrop, for example, might claim the posters declaring the dictionary definition of woman, which was paid for by Percy Parker, were intended to make trans people feel uncomfortable. Sure, maybe Parker wanted to trigger the trannies, but I don't believe that intent should factor into this. This involves making yourself the arbiter of what that person's thoughts are, simply because you're unhappy with the thought that they've given out. We've certainly seen examples of people deciding context on their own nature in this year alone. More important though, you'd be claiming that a fact is inherently hateful. Facts exist outside of any perceived morality. They remain true whether people like it or not, and simply closing your eyes won't change the fact that they're true. If a fact is considered problematic, censoring discussion stops any way of finding a solution to it. These actions haven't come about through popular support or reasoned discussion. A tiny number of hyper-offended people have exploited the amplification effect of social media and the identity politics appeasement agenda of our institutions. And they've done this to get what they really want, and that is power.
It's a beautiful thing, the destruction of words.
Sugar, 2.4%. Flour,
You won't have seen the dictionary, 10th edition yet, Smith?
7.5%.
It's that thick.
Coffee, 8%.
The 11th edition will be that thick.
Bread, 7%. Overall,
Well, the revolution will be complete when the language is perfect.
What can cost you your job one year could get you prosecuted the next. Companies have a lower threshold for public outrage than the police, but the pressure to prosecute hate crimes for offensive definitions are growing. And it's only a matter of time until someone is taken to court for just quoting the dictionary. All they'll need to do is simply prove that someone was offended by it. I would love to know your thoughts on this subject. Do you believe that dictionary definitions are now offensive? Or do you think that people are simply being too hyper-offended over simple words? Please let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. I apologise for my voice as I'm currently getting over a bit of a chest infection, but hopefully I'll be healthy enough to do next week's video with no problems. Please be sure to like and subscribe in the meantime, and also follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you all next time.